Hi everybody, I'm Mike McCrory and this is Would You Make It? I have these pieces of leftover wood from other projects, different types of wood, different shapes and different sizes, and it'll be perfect for making cutting boards. So in this episode I'm going to make an end grain cutting board. An end grain cutting board is probably the favorite of chefs because it's easier on the knife blades. It doesn't dull them as quickly. And it's kind of a self-healing cutting board because the grain will open up for the knife cut and then close up a little bit around it. So it's a good choice. So let's get started. These are the pieces of sipo and maple that I'm going to use. I've cut them up and I've got them arranged and they're ready to glue up for the first pass of gluing up. I'm using Titebond 3 because it's waterproof and it's food safe. And I'm applying a liberal amount because I want to make sure these things really stick to each other. I'll clamp the pieces up and let them sit overnight. I want to make sure that I wipe up all of the squeeze out before it sets up because it's a lot easier to clean up this way. And now this is day 2. I will unclamp the piece and take it over to the table saw to trim the ends. And now using the miter gauge, I will just trim the end on the table saw to make sure that it's nice and straight and square to the other two sides. And now I'm going to cut strips about 1.5 inches wide. And I'm using a stop block on my fence so that I don't get any binding with the fence with the potential for kickback. And now I'll just lay the pieces out on the table saw just to get a look at what the finished product is going to look like. And I'm alternating the pieces so that I don't have consistent grain all the way across. And now again I'll glue it up. So this is the second glue up. It takes an extra day with end grain butcher blocks or cutting boards because of the fact that you have to glue them up twice. Probably used more glue than I needed, but I'd rather have too much than too little. If you don't have enough glue, then you'll see little voids or little gaps in the glue up. When I clamp it up this time, I'm going to clamp it in both directions because I want to make sure that everything remains aligned. If I clamped it only in the other direction, then the boards will tend to slide a little bit. It only takes a little bit of clamping pressure in this direction just to hold things in place. And then when I'm clamping for the glue up, that will be clamped up a lot more tightly. And again, I'm wiping up all the excess glue so that I don't have to clean it up with a plane or a sander or a chisel. And using my crosscut sled, I'm squaring it up and trimming any excess so that I have nice straight and nice flat edges. And now I'll pass it through the drum sander to get it nice and flat. And I'm using a round nose router bit to cut grooves in the ends as a place to put your fingers to lift up the board, and that way I don't have to put feet on one side. By not having feet, I can use both sides of the cutting board. And now I'm sanding it up, removing a little bit of burn marks that are a result of the drum sander. And now I'm using a 1/4 inch roundover bit on the router to round over the edges. And now I'm finishing up the cutting board with some hand sanding just to smooth the roundover, get any of the roughness out of it as much as possible. After sanding the board, I soak it in water just for a few seconds, and that will help to raise the grain, and then I'll let it dry and sand it and then repeat the process. And this helps to get a really nice smooth cutting board. And then I applied a couple of coats of cutting board oil. The end grain really soaks up the oil, so it's really important to apply it liberally. And here's the final product. So I gotta ask, would you make it?